Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm doing my WWE Battleground 2013 review. The full show review, every single thing that happened will be reviewed on this video. Click that subscribe button in the top left hand corner because I review and predict every single pay-per-view as well as Monday Night Raw, main event and Friday Night SmackDown. So you're in the right place if you're a big wrestling fan like me. So click that subscribe button in the top left hand corner, and today, of course, we are reviewing WWE Battleground 2013, the first WWE Battleground 2013 WWE Battleground pay-per-view, and honestly, it was a very poor show. If they wanted to make a good impression on the first WWE Battleground pay-per-view, if they're making this a yearly thing, a WWE Battleground every single year, they wanted to make a good first impression and make people remember the name Battleground, so when they're scrolling through maybe the list of pay-per-views in 2014, thinking about maybe the one they might think about buying or one that they remember being a good pay-per-view, they're not necessarily going to think Battleground was a very good pay-per-view because it was absolutely terrible. The build going into this pay-per-view, they only had 3 weeks from Night of Champions to Battleground, but it was a very poor pay-per-view. I was very disappointed, but the best thing about me watching this pay-per-view is I wasn't excited about this pay-per-view. I wasn't expecting something epic, so when I did actually watch it, I wasn't as extremely disappointed as I would maybe if I was going into it with really high expectations, because honestly, I wasn't looking forward to this pay-per-view. I knew they only had 3 weeks to make it and build towards this pay-per-view, and honestly, they didn't do a good job in building this pay-per-view, and it really didn't pay off on the actual pay-per-view because it was absolutely poor. It was just like watching a glorified version of Monday Night Raw, but I'm going to review every single match in this video, and you can post your comments and your thoughts and how you thought the pay-per-view went for you. Were you disappointed when it went down 10 minutes to go? Something like that, because we do know it went down like 2 minutes, but it went down for a couple of minutes, like 10 minutes before the end, before the main event actually. What were your thoughts on that and everything like that? Did you actually buy the pay-per-view? Were you looking forward to it, etc, etc? But we're starting with the first match, which was actually the kickoff show. And I've said it before, if you are interested in watching the kickoff show, do watch it on WWE.com because you get a hell of a lag on the YouTube show, and it does actually make you 1 minute behind everybody else if you don't watch it on WWE.com. But I was actually really excited about this match. This is probably the biggest match I was looking forward to the whole show, bar maybe the Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus the Shield match. I was actually really looking forward to this match because we have two great talents, two former Money in the Bank winners. We had Dolph Ziggler, who won it in 2012, and we had Damien Sandow, who won it this year, of course, and is still the contract holder of the Money in the Bank. And we had a really good matchup on our hands between Dolph Ziggler and Damien Sandow, and I was extremely disappointed that these guys didn't make it on the full match card. I think they should have been on the actual match card for the pay-per-view, the actual show where people pay to watch it, because this was one hell of a match. It was a really good showdown between Dolph Ziggler and Damien Sandow. To be fair, there wasn't any build towards this match. It was the first match these guys have ever gone together in the ring one-on-one. They have gone together in a Money in the Bank match. In fact, the match between Dolph Ziggler, where he actually won the Money in the Bank briefcase in 2012, is the only match Dolph Ziggler and Damien Sandow have locked horns in a match. So this is the first singles match between Damien Sandow and Dolph Ziggler, and it was actually a really good match. I actually really enjoyed it. It was one of the only matches I actually enjoyed the whole way through. It was really fast-paced. There was some good moves through there. I know Dolph Ziggler is actually in the doghouse, the WWE doghouse at the moment, and every single match he busts his gut to put on a good match, and it was really good. I really liked it, and honestly, going into this match, I was expecting Damien Sandow to pick up the victory here. They should be building up Damien Sandow ready for that cash-in, and maybe he'll cash it near Royal Rumble time going in towards WrestleMania. I'm not really sure. I couldn't really make an assumption up to when he will actually cash it in, but he's nowhere near ready to cash it in, especially after taking a pay-per-view pinfall in this match between Dolph Ziggler and Damien Sandow, because Damien Sandow did actually lose to Dolph Ziggler in this match. Surprisingly, I thought it was perfect timing for Dolph Ziggler to put over Damien Sandow. I thought Damien Sandow was ready to start building up for that cash-in, because when he does actually cash in, we really need to be made to believe that when he does actually cash in, he's going to win that match, and he's going to be somebody who's a decent World Heavyweight Champion. champion, because so far in his reign as being the contract holder, if he'd cash in right now, I don't think I could take this guy seriously. I don't think he'd have a decent run. They did the same thing with Dolph Ziggler, where Dolph Ziggler went on a losing streak. He lost, especially the biggest loss he had was against Chris Jericho at SummerSlam. And Dolph Ziggler's run as World Heavyweight Champion only lasted 1 month between Payback and Money in the Bank. They're doing the same thing from Damien Sandow, and we're expected to get behind this guy when he hasn't won a decent match. The last match he won was against Santino Marella. And I was really expecting Damien Sandow to win this match. I was expecting him to get a bit of momentum in this match. A good match between him and Dolph Ziggler, where Dolph Ziggler could put over Damien Sandow in some good light and make Damien Sandow look really, really good, and make us actually believe that this guy is somebody to be reckoned with, and when he finally cashes in, he'll be a good World Heavyweight Champion. But Damien Sandow did not win this match, and they gave the win to the face, Dolph Ziggler. They usually do this where they give the win to the face because it gets the crowd ready and maybe bring in a few more pay-per-view sales because they have the face win. The fans want to see whether the face will do better in the pay-per-view, because if you have a heel win, it doesn't really make the fans that excited for the pay-per-view, because they'll be like, oh, my favourite didn't win, I'm not really excited about that pay-per-view, I'll probably skip buying it and watch it on a stream. If you have the face win, it makes the fans excited, it makes the fans behind the other faces on the pay-per-view. So they gave the win to the face, and honestly, I don't know, I think giving the win to Dolph Ziggler was good, because Damien Sandow's always got the briefcase to fall back on. If he loses a match, he's still got something to his name. And Dolph Ziggler, he hasn't got anything to his name. Since losing that World Heavyweight title at the Money in the Bank 2013 pay-per-view, Dolph Ziggler hasn't really done anything. Since turning face at the Payback pay-per-view, he hasn't done anything either. And honestly, I really, really think that Dolph Ziggler kind of needed this win. I'm on the fence here. I think Dolph Ziggler needed it because he hasn't really had anything going towards him since turning face and losing the World Heavyweight title. He hasn't really done anything, so I really think that this win was good for him. But also Damien Sandow, you should be building him up for that World Heavyweight title cash-in. So I'm on the fence a bit here. I did like how they made Damien Sandow injure his knee, and then Dolph Ziggler hit the zigzag and won with a 1-2-3 pin, because obviously that wasn't a clean victory, and Dolph Ziggler didn't actually win with a clean victory. So that's good for Damien Sandow, because he didn't fully lose, he didn't fully get a pay-per-view loss, because he did injure his knee and get zigzagged by that fault by Damien Sandow. He made a mistake and he didn't fully lose. It wasn't a clean win by Dolph Ziggler, so Dolph Ziggler still got a win, but Damien Sandow was not fully beaten. But I don't know why they're protecting Damien Sandow. I don't know why they protected Damien Sandow by doing this, because he's been going on a losing streak for the past 2 months. Why did they feel the need to protect him in this match when he's been losing so many matches? I don't understand why they had to protect him in this match when he's been losing all these matches recently. It just didn't really make sense. But Dolph Ziggler won this match. I thought it was a really, really good match, and hopefully Dolph Ziggler can get some more momentum and start building him up for a good title run. Maybe the United States title or even the World Heavyweight title. I'm not really sure. What do you guys think about this match? I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I did like how they maybe they're starting to build up Dolph Ziggler, but it was a really, really good match. I think it deserved to go on the full show. Even though there was no build towards this match, I think it definitely deserved to go on the show. And the Real Americans versus the Santino Marella and the Great Khali definitely deserved to go on the Kickoff show, because this was one hell of a match, and Dolph Ziggler got a little bit of momentum. They did kind of protect Damien Sandow in this match for some unknown reason, but they should start building this guy up, and I was really, really disappointed, however, that Damien Sandow did not win this match, because it still looks like I'm not really into Damien Sandow, and he's nowhere near ready to cash in, yet again, losing on a pay-per-view. So the next match was the World Heavyweight Championship match between Alberto Del Rio and Rob Van Dam, and oh my fucking god, this match was absolutely insane. I loved this match from start to finish. I mean, it got going after about 5 minutes into the match, and they put on a 20-minute blockbuster match. It was absolutely insane. I loved it from start to finish. Like I said, it was so good. It was great. It was absolutely awesome. So many people hate on Del Rio. They say he doesn't have good charisma and he's just a boring champion. But there's no doubt that that Alberto Del Rio puts on 5 out of 5 matches. He put on a 5 out of 5 match this night. He put on a 5 out of 5 match without a doubt at Night of Champions, and he put on definitely a 5 out of 5 match against Kingston at SummerSlam. This guy is one hell of a talent, and he put on an absolutely amazing match against Rob Van Dam to start off the actual show for the Battleground pay-per-view. I thought they did well by making this match start off the Battleground pay-per-view. I thought it was a well-built match. It was the second match between these guys, so the crowd were behind it, the crowd were into this match, and it was a good way to start off the pay-per-view so the fans could get behind it and start the ball rolling. Now, they know Del Rio and Rob Van Dam could put on a good match, so it was a really, really good way to start the ball rolling for the pay-per-view, get everybody behind the pay-per-view and excited and see what else they have to bring for the pay-per-view. I thought it was a really, really good move to have this start the pay-per-view, and it definitely delivered. It was a really, really good match. There's some really, really good spots in this match. There was a 5-star frog smash onto a ladder stretched across Alberto Del Rio. There was an attempt of a Van Terminator, but Alberto Del Rio managed to run out the way. And it was just absolutely insane. There was chair shots. Ricardo Rodriguez got into the match when Rob Van Dam was in a bit of trouble, and Alberto Del Rio had that cross arm breaker locked on. And to finish the match in some absolutely awesome style, Rob Van Dam's head was trapped in the middle of a chair, and Alberto Del Rio hit Rob Van Dam's face when his face was in the middle of the chair, and then got himself into the cross arm breaker in the middle of a chair. He had his arm wrapped around a chair, and then Rob Van Dam did in fact tap out to the cross arm breaker. I was kind of surprised that it kind of felt like a bit of a weird ending. I mean, I don't think the crowd was fully expecting them to actually end it like that. It felt slightly weird when they did that. It was just a little bit quiet when they did this, but honestly, the crowd were really, really good throughout the whole pay-per-view, guys. I thought they really, really made a few of the matches which weren't built very well kind of slightly more exciting than they should have been, but the crowd were kind of dead after that happened. I think they were kind of hoping Rob Van Dam, one of the second, I've said this before, the second biggest face in the WWE. I was expecting Alberto Del Rio to retain his World Heavyweight title, and he did, but a lot of people were really hoping Rob Van Dam was actually going to win the World Heavyweight title from Alberto Del Rio, but we all know Rob Van Dam was on a 90-day contract, and that pretty much ended tonight, guys. There was a bit of speculation that Rob Van Dam's contract did actually end before the Battleground pay-per-view, but it is now official that Rob Van Dam's contract is, or will be, in the next few days over, because Rob Van Dam's going away to recuperate after going on the road for a good 90 days. He's putting on some one hell of a matches, especially tonight. He put on a really, really good match. They could use this hardcore match to portray Rob Van Dam in some really, really good light, and they did. He looked absolutely awesome, and then Rob Van Dam went off with some really, really good momentum. So from looking great in this match, he can recuperate, and then when he comes back, he'll have some good momentum because he had a good showing at this match. So when he does come back, people are more excited to see what he has in him and see what else he can do, because a hardcore match, they made him portray himself really, really well, because he excels in these hardcore matches, and having him in the last match before he goes away in a hardcore match can make him look really, really good, and that's what they did in this match. So he'll go away, he looked really, really good, and when he finally does come back, we're excited to see what he has, because he looks so good in this match. But Alberto Del Rio did retain his World Heavyweight title, because Rob Van Dam, of course, is going away, so the only option would be for Rob Van Dam to lose against Alberto Del Rio, and Alberto Del Rio to retain his World Heavyweight title. I think it was a good option. I think Alberto Del Rio is still a good champion. It'll be interesting to see what they do now, because they've only got 3 weeks to build for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and honestly, I don't think 3 weeks is good enough build for a World Heavyweight title match. Maybe Rey Mysterio is going to return, and they'll have a quick match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I'm not particularly sure, guys. Or will Rob Van Dam sign on for an extra few days? I'm not particularly sure, but honestly, Rob Van Dam, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't appear until the end of the year and goes away. I think it would have been better if Ricardo Rodriguez possibly turned on him and maybe made him injured so he couldn't return, and that would have been easy for them to write it off. Or Rob Van Dam will maybe say goodbye on Monday Night Raw and say he's not done, he'll be back in maybe a few months. But honestly, I was expecting a swerve. I don't know, it just didn't look like Rob Van Dam was injured in this match. I think it would have been better if they made him injured and then he could go away, recuperate, and they could write that off in a storyline instead of Rob Van Dam maybe just going away for a bit like they did with Christian. It just didn't really seem right. It just doesn't really work how Rob Van Dam's maybe just going to go away now. They're not going to have an answer for that. Maybe it would have been better if they made Rob Van Dam so injured that he couldn't continue, and maybe they'll write that off in a storyline, but they didn't do that. They just chose for Alberto Del Rio to win this match and Rob Van Dam to put it over Alberto Del Rio, and hopefully Alberto Del Rio can go to higher things in the WWE within the next few months. So for that match, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Apart from the fact that I'm not really sure how they're going to write off Rob Van Dam, I thought this match was one hell of a match. It was probably one of the best matches of the night, and it was absolutely fucking awesome. Congratulations to Alberto Del Rio and Rob Van Dam for putting on one hell of a match, and Rob Van Dam is likely to go away for a few months now, so we'll see what Alberto Del Rio has in store for the World Heavyweight title in the next few months. But that match was absolutely awesome. I was kind of surprised Ricardo Rodriguez did not turn on Rob Van Dam and go back to Alberto Del Rio and make a heel turn, so I'll be interested to see what Ricardo Rodriguez is going to do whilst Rob Van Dam isn't there in the WWE. So that'll also be interesting to see what they talk about on Monday Night Raw. But Alberto Del Rio did retain his World Heavyweight title, and honestly, I think it's time he did drop it to somebody and maybe have a little bit more excitement in the World Heavyweight title scene, because honestly, every match Alberto Del Rio goes into, you kind of expect Alberto Del Rio to retain. He hasn't really been going against people who you'd expect to take that title off him. I mean, Christian, it was a bit of a filler match. Rob Van Dam, it was a bit of a filler match. And in this match, you just expected that Alberto Del Rio to win because Rob Van Dam is going away for a bit. So really, I really hope Alberto Del Rio, gets a good competitor in the next pay-per-view. But for that, 9 out of 10, a really, really good match. And the match quality was absolutely amazing for this match. So congrats to Alberto Del Rio and Rob Van Dam. 9 out of 10 for that match. The next match was a match which was actually announced when I was asleep before I woke up for the pay-per-view. It was announced just on Twitter, I believe. The Real Americans taking on Santino Marella and the Great Khali. Another filler match. There was no build towards this match. Another Monday Night Raw match for us guys. Another glorified Monday Night Raw match. The only really good thing about this match was Antonio Cesaro managed to get the swing locked in on the Great Khali, and then straight after that, it must have taken out so much energy on Antonio Cesaro. He just covered the Great Khali and got the 1-2-3 pin. Honestly, I would have been really, really pissed off if Santino Marella and the Great Khali won this match. And thankfully, the Real Americans won this match. The match itself really, really didn't mean anything, but it was great that the Real Americans did actually get a win. I think they really, really needed a win. Recently, they've just turned into some jobbers, and having a pay-per-view win is great because maybe they can start building these guys up and being tag team contenders, something like that. Hopefully, the Shield can drop it, and then the Real Americans and some other people like that, like the Usos and the Primetime players, can really start doing something in the tag team division, because the Shield, they're not really doing anything with the tag team titles, and you've got some great guys like the Usos, like the tag team, like the Real Americans, and like the Primetime players, and they're not really doing anything because the Shield have been a bit selfish and having them tag team titles, and hopefully the Real Americans are going to get started building up for this. But honestly, it was just a bit of a filler match, so I'd give that a 4 out of 10. Apart from the fact that Antonio Cesaro got the swing locked in, it was completely pointless, this match. The next match, this is really, really, really where the pay-per-view started to go downhill, because we had another match which honestly was not built whatsoever. It was the Intercontinental Champion R-Truth taking on the Intercontinental Champion Curtis Axel taking on R-Truth, and honestly, this match was really, really bad. It just had no chemistry whatsoever. I honestly thought on Monday Night Raw they had a really, really good match. They had some good chemistry. But honestly, this match was boring. The crowd were really, really not into this match. This is probably the least match they were into the whole night. Even though they were a really, really hot crowd from the Niagara Falls Centre, they were really, really not into this match. It was so boring. It did not help the match whatsoever, and the Curtis Axel did in fact get the victory. Hopefully Curtis Axel can finally have a decent match against somebody. He hasn't had a good Intercontinental Championship match for a while now, and yet again another filler match for Curtis Axel and the Intercontinental Championship, and yet again not really having a great match. I was really, really disappointed in this match. I thought maybe we'd have a good match. Maybe Curtis Axel put on a good match and really show why he's the Intercontinental Champion. But no, we didn't really have a good match, and I was really, really disappointed in this match. And honestly, I don't really know what's next for Curtis Axel. He really needs to drop that belt and have a good feud for it, instead of just keeping it and making guys look really, really bad like R-Truth. I mean, he's just squashing guys like R-Truth when really, this guy really hasn't shown what he's worth himself. He's just getting put in these matches which don't really mean anything. And honestly, I'm starting to lose faith in Curtis Axel. I think he's a great talent, but he's not been booked particularly well. They only had 3 weeks, but honestly, Curtis Axel, yet again, not really showing he's the Intercontinental Champion. He's not really doing anything with that title. Yet again, having a very, very poor match. So for that, I'll probably give my poorest rating out of anything I've rated so far. A 3 out of 10 for that match. Absolutely shocking. It was just a filler match. We all knew that. And Curtis Axel was in fact going to retain his Intercontinental Championship. Hopefully they start doing something with Curtis Axel in the next few months, because this was absolutely abysmal. It was so, so bad. The crowd were into it, and the match just didn't do anything for me. It just was absolutely terrible. I actually went for the loo in the middle of the match. Nothing really going for that match. So the next match was the Divas champion AJ Lee taking on Brie Bella for the Divas Championship. And I'm an absolutely lover of AJ Lee. I love her so much. Her gimmick is the only gimmick a diva has in the WWE. Currently, the Divas champion AJ Lee is the only person who looks like she's a diva on this point in time. She's the only person who deserves to have that Divas Championship. Anybody else in the Divas division does not have a gimmick. They don't really look like they could fit the Divas title. They're not built properly. She's the only diva in the current roster who deserves that title. She's the only person that has something going for her. And honestly, going into this match, I wasn't really excited for this match. I mean, we've already had a good Divas match this month so far between Caitlyn and AJ Lee at Payback. And yet again, we have another poor Divas match between AJ Lee and another diva. Honestly, the Divas division just looks so stale at the moment. I was so disappointed with this match because it's really got nothing going for it. I mean, you've got the Divas champion AJ Lee carrying this Divas division, and then the other Divas aren't really doing anything. They're just going into these matches against AJ Lee, and she's defeating anybody WWE throws at her. And these Divas don't have anything going for it. You've got Naomi, who doesn't have a gimmick. You've got Natalya, who doesn't have a gimmick. You've got Brie Bella, who doesn't have a gimmick. They haven't got anything going for them except for the fact that they're on the Total Divas show. They don't do anything for the WWE. And honestly, I was really, really disappointed in this match. And honestly, they really need to start bringing in either some new divas or start building these divas up to actually think that they could defeat the AJ Lee, the Divas champion, because going into this match, I wasn't expecting 100% for anybody, Brie Bella, to defeat AJ Lee. It was just so obvious that she wasn't going to get defeated by Brie Bella. She has nothing going for it. She was only on that show to prove that the Total Divas are relevant, Brie Bella. She was only on that show to show that the Total Divas are relevant and they actually do something in the WWE. Getting her on a pay-per-view shows that she actually does something in the WWE. It was another squash match on the pay-per-view, and honestly, AJ Lee really, really needs to have a top-class competitor. She's now signed up, or she's now got Tamina Snuka at her side, and honestly, I don't see why Tamina Snuka's there. She has never impressed me in the ring. She doesn't look like a diva. I'm sorry, but she's not hot. She doesn't have anything going for her at all. She just came out of nowhere and she's just joined alliances with AJ Lee. And honestly, she doesn't do anything at ringside. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't give anything towards the match or anything like that. She's just there. She didn't really interact anything throughout the match except at the end. And honestly, I don't really know why they made her join AJ Lee. She's not hot. She's never going to be a Divas champion. She's not that impressive in the ring, and she just started coming out with AJ Lee, and it's a bit, we haven't really had any explanation why she's done this, but she was actually the reason why AJ Lee retained her title. Basically, Nikki got distracted by her at ringside, and then Brie Bella in the ring got distracted by this, and then AJ Lee got the roll-up pin. And honestly, why were they protecting Brie Bella in this match? AJ Lee getting a roll-up victory. I don't understand why they were protecting Brie Bella by making her getting a roll-up victory instead of the AJ Lee getting a clean victory. I mean, surely they should be making AJ Lee look good in the match. Surely they should be making her look like a good champion. But every single match she has, they seem to protect the diva. They seem to make AJ Lee look like a bitch, and they don't really make her look good. They make the person that's facing AJ Lee look good instead of the Divas champion, which isn't great because she's really practically jobbing to AJ Lee. And honestly, I don't know why they protected Brie Bella in this match. Are they going to try and make another match at Hell in a Cell? I honestly thought they should have chosen Natalya in this match, but they chose Brie Bella, and honestly, bad choice. It was not a good match whatsoever. Very, very disappointed in this match. They shouldn't even have had this match on the pay-per-view because it just didn't do anything. The only reason why they had this match on the pay-per-view was to show that the Total Divas are relevant within the WWE. Very, very disappointing match. 5 out of 10 for this match. You can see the trend. really, really disappointed in this pay-per-view overall. So, the next match was Cody Rhodes and Goldust defeating the WWE Tag Team Champions. Yes, the Tag Team Champions Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And they do, in fact, get defeated. The Tag Team Champions Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns finally get defeated by somebody in the WWE. And this match is absolutely freaking awesome. I love this match from start to finish. I'm just start off by saying 9 out of 10. The build towards this match was absolutely incredible. I really, really liked this match. It was really, really good. I mean, it's been brewing for like the past 5 months, and honestly, sorry, 5 weeks, and honestly, it was a really, really good match. I think it really, really paid off. The crowd were really, really behind it. They were cheering for Cody and Goldust and Dusty, in fact. And honestly, the crowd could buy into this because it's been something that's happening on screen for the past 5 weeks on Monday Night Raw. It's been brewing really, really well. And then they announced it on Monday Night Raw. And then we just had a week to get really, really excited for this match. And it really, really paid off because it was a really, really good match. And honestly, they did not fail to deliver. I really, really liked it. I predicted Cody Rhodes and Goldust would win this because Goldust has in fact signed a contract with the WWE, only short term, but he has in fact signed a contract with the WWE. And that does pretty much mean that Goldust is going to be staying with the WWE for the next few weeks. And honestly, I thought that Goldust and Cody were going to win this in this match. I thought the Shield could deserve... I think they could have taken a pinfall victory, and they did. They've been building these guys up so well. They've been getting a good main event push. It's kind of slowly died down in the last few weeks, but I honestly think the Shield could have taken a pinfall loss, and they did against Goldust and Dusty Rhodes. Goldust and Cody Rhodes. And honestly, this match is freaking awesome. Like I was saying, there's a huge gap in the market for Goldust to start putting over guys. Maybe on this week's Monday Night Raw, Goldust will start a feud with somebody, because honestly, since Kane's departed, since Big Show's getting this main event push, and since Chris Jericho's gone away, and Mark Henry's not really in the loom at the moment, there's a huge gap in the market for somebody like Goldust to start putting over guys. And I think he really, really fits the bill, and he looked absolutely awesome in this match. I think he looked really, really great. He just has no ring rust whatsoever. The match against Randy Orton earlier in the month was really, really good as well. And it just shows that maybe Goldust is going to be the guy that maybe puts somebody over like Curtis Axel or like a Dean Ambrose, because he looked absolutely awesome and he made a really, really good match. The crowd were behind Goldust, they were chanting for Goldust, and it was absolutely awesome match. And for Cody, I think he's really, really in line for a main event push. We've got no Cena at the moment. I think there's a huge gap in the market for a main eventer like Cody Rhodes. I think the fact that the Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan feud is slowly dying off, and there was a weird ending, in fact, to that match. I think Cody Rhodes could really, really benefit from having a short main event push whilst John Cena isn't there. And as soon as they ended this match, well, honestly, I think they did really, really well in this match by ending this feud quickly and getting Cody Rhodes and Goldust job backs quickly, so Cody Rhodes and Goldust can jump back in the WWE and start building themselves up or building other guys up, which I thought was absolutely awesome. This match itself was really, really good. On screen, we've got Goldust and Cody Rhodes back. I don't really care about Dusty being back because honestly, he's going to be back anyway. We all know WWE scripted. It's not really going to affect anybody on screen, so that really wasn't great, but he did get the bionic elbow out, so that was really, really good. The crowd did pop for that. And he did hit that on Dean Ambrose, which is absolutely insane. But what really happened was Dusty Rhodes got distracted by Dean Ambrose with their bionic elbow. And then Roman Reigns, I think it was just about to attack Dusty Rhodes. And then Goldust pounced on Dusty Rhodes. And then in the ring, Seth Rollins got crossroads by Cody Rhodes. And it was an absolutely insane crossroads. It just completely bounced off the actual ring. It just bounced. It was absolutely awesome impact, and he got 1, 2, 3 pin. Everybody out of the WWE locker room, well, most jobbers came out and congratulated them. It was a really, really good atmosphere, and I really, really like it. It was a huge pop for Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Then I really, really hope Cody Rhodes can get this main event push, and he really proved in this match why he's the real deal. So for that match, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It was a really, really good match. I would have solely bought the pay-per-view for this match because I really, really loved it. Any match with Goldust and Cody Rhodes is a great match, and of course the bionic elbow. So the next match was Bray Wyatt defeating Kofi Kingston, and honestly, this was just a cool down match. Bray Wyatt obviously was going to get the victory. They just really wanted to keep Bray Wyatt busy when Kane does come back at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view maybe. Honestly, this match was okay. I think it was actually okay. I think I'll give it credit. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It was pretty good. It was quite fast-paced, but honestly, the crowd couldn't get behind it because the build towards it was pretty poor. There wasn't really any decent build towards this match, but honestly, the match itself was okay. They're just keeping Bray Wyatt busy, but it just proves how this gimmick is slowly dying off, but that I have to toss Bray Wyatt to Kofi Kingston, because Kofi Kingston is nothing at the moment. Ever since he came back, he's really done anything, and putting Bray Wyatt in this match against Kofi Kingston just proves that they're running out of ideas for Bray Wyatt. But they're keeping Bray Wyatt busy for when Kane does come back, and getting him a victory on a pay-per-view is great, and that really builds Bray Wyatt up, and hopefully they can have a good feud between Kane and Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt obviously getting the victory here, guys, and building Bray Wyatt up, keeping him relevant in the WWE, keeping the Wyatt family relevant in the WWE. A pretty decent match, in fact. And hopefully they can start building Bray Wyatt up in the next few weeks for the Kane feud. But honestly, this match, 6 out of 10. It was a pretty interesting match. I think it was quite entertaining. No build towards it, so the crowd couldn't really get behind it. There was a really, really weird moment when Jerry the King Lawler said he looks like a spider's web when he crouches underneath the ring rope, and then he just started acting like a spider. It was really, really weird on his four legs and knees. It was so weird, but it was awesome. I like how they're keeping Bray Wyatt relevant, but they're slowly running out of ideas for Bray Wyatt, so it'll be interesting to see what they've got in store for him in the next few weeks when they're building him up for this match against Kane, hopefully at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view or Survivor Series. So the next match was CM Punk versus Ryback, and honestly, I was really, really disappointed in this match. I don't think they had any chemistry whatsoever. I was really, really shocked how bad this match was. I think the build is okay, but they're kind of trying to keep CM Punk busy whilst this main event feud between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan is still brewing over, because if they're going to make CM Punk get another title shot, he's going to turn into somebody like Cena really, really fast, and having CM Punk keeping busy with this Paul Heyman feud keeps him busy and away from that main event spot, whilst these guys like Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan can make names for themselves on their own, while CM Punk isn't kind of getting lame and boring. But honestly, I thought he made himself look really, really lame and boring in this match himself, because his promos lately haven't been the greatest. They've been like, oh, I'm going to get Paul Heyman. We've heard it all before. We've heard it all before, Punk. You need to find something new. You need to find a new gimmick or something to talk about. A new feud to get your teeth into this. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this feud's ended. And I'm really, really shocked at this, because I thought that if they want to keep CM Punk busy and away from this main event scene, they need Ryback to win the first match. They need the heel to win the first match. And that didn't happen. I was really surprised, because if you want a feud to continue, you've got to have the heel win first, and then you've got the face have to chase the heel and look for a victory in the next pay-per-view where you can get the fans behind it, and you can get everybody behind this feud looking forward to CM Punk finally defeating the heel. But that didn't happen. I honestly think maybe during the match they were thinking, we didn't really put on a great match. Let's end this feud. It's not going to go much further. Let's just make Ryback lose. And I was absolutely fucking pissed at this, because Ryback, you've got a new Paul Heyman guy, you're supposed to be building him up, he's had a gimmick change, he's not liking bullies, he's the new Paul Heyman guy, you're supposed to be giving this guy a lot of momentum, you're supposed to be making this guy look good because it's the new Paul Heyman guy, you're supposed to be making guys feared of Paul Heyman and the Ryback alliance, because surely you're in the first pay-per-view match between Paul Heyman and Ryback, you're supposed to be making these guys look good. You're supposed to be making them look like a good force, but Ryback then goes and loses to CM Punk. No, it wasn't a clean victory, but Ryback goes and loses. And honestly, I was absolutely irate at this, because I was expecting Ryback to win. I honestly didn't expect in all hell... I did not expect CM Punk to win this match. Absolutely no, because... I don't know, I think CM Punk could have done with one more loss. I mean, he lost against Brock Lesnar, he lost against Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel and the Night of Champions pay-per-view. I honestly thought he could have done with one more loss. And honestly, especially the fact that you've got Ryback you should be building up, I think CM Punk could have really put over Ryback. But honestly, making CM Punk win here, It's not looking good for Ryback yet again. They've buried Ryback yet again. He should be making this guy look good. I'm not sure how far they can go with this feud. I mean, even though CM Punk did give a low blow to Ryback, can they make another match out of this? I'm not really sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they could, but honestly, the best option for this would be for Ryback to win the first match. They didn't do this, so for me, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Very, very disappointed in the overall match quality of this match, and very, very disappointed in the ending as well. I personally would have expected Paul Heyman to maybe get more involved into this match. I mean, it was kind of his fault. He kind of threatened to hit CM Punk round the head with a kendo stick, and then that halted for the referee to get distracted, and then CM Punk to hit Ryback under the willy with a no blow. But honestly, Ryback needed to win. He needed to win. The heel needed to win this match so CM Punk could chase this and hopefully get a win at Hell in a Cell. They should have been building Ryback up in this match, making him look good, making him look like a force to be reckoned with a new alliance with Paul Heyman. And it didn't happen. Ryback got defeated by CM Punk, in fact, in the middle of the ring, which is very, very surprising. So for me, very disappointed with that win. I was expecting Ryback to get the victory here, so a 6 out of 10 for that. The next match and the main event, and just before this match we had a cutout. The electricity apparently went out, which is kind of disappointing. Maybe they were just making 10 minutes just get wasted because they had no plans for this pay-per-view. And honestly, I was really, really disappointed when this finally got the match underway, because I was actually kind of happy they hadn't shoved this match down our throats, because going into this match, they haven't shoved this match down our throats like they did at Night of Champions. I think every single Raw had started and ended with this feud, and then for this feud they hadn't really shoved it down our throats completely. I think a few Monday Night Raws we had CM Punk start them, and honestly, this feud was just brewing on the back burner. I don't think it was shoved down our throats. I think it was there, but it wasn't being shoved down our throats, and I thought that was great, because going into this match, I didn't think the pay-per-view relied solely on this match, because it hadn't been shoved down our throats. I thought it was just a match and we were going to get it, but it wasn't really relying on this match, and honestly, I'm glad it didn't, because it was very, very disappointing. I mean, we've seen these guys go head-to-head for the championship twice already, and the third time at this pay-per-view tonight. We've seen these guys go head-to-head 3 times in a row in June, and honestly, this match is probably the worst out of these guys' career, because the worst out of these guys going head-to-head, out of these guys going to head-to-head in their careers. I didn't mean their worst match in their careers, I meant the worst match where these guys have gone head-to-head, because honestly, I just didn't think it flowed. I didn't think it had some good moves in it. I thought what we'd seen before. I mean, it proved how far Daniel Bryan's come and how over he was with the crowd. But honestly, I just wasn't really into the match. I thought, well, if a new champion's going to be crowned, it's not really going to feel special. And I did predict a DQ by Randy Orton or a no contest, and that did in fact happen. And in fact, I wasn't really expecting Big Show to get involved in this match. I thought, let these guys have a match. Let Randy Orton portray the fact that he's back and he's the new Viper. I was expecting the Randy Orton to get disqualified, and then we go into the Hell in a Cell match where the title was still vacant, and then that would be the final match where nobody, of course, can get DQ'd or counted out because it's a Hell in a Cell match. But that didn't happen that way. I thought that was a perfect ending for this match, and it didn't really happen because Big Show came out, and it was kind of strange. I mean, the match was happening, Daniel Bryan got Randy Orton in the no-lock, and then Big Show came out, KO punched Daniel Bryan after dragging the referee out of the ring, and then he KO'd Randy Orton, and then the whole show ended with Big Show standing tall over everybody in the ring, over the WWE Championship match. And that match is still officially going on because the match didn't even end, which I thought was really, really weird. But Big Show stood tall. I'm not sure if Brad Maddox made him KO punch Daniel Bryan or he just took it into his own hands. I'm not completely sure, because he turned heel and then quickly turned face within 10 seconds. It'll be all interesting to see what they do at the pay-per-view match. Maybe Big Show will become the special referee in the Hell in a Cell match. I'm not particularly sure. Will it become a triple threat match? Or will Big Show face Triple H at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? I'm not really sure. I thought it was a really, really weird ending. I thought it was a perfect opportunity for Randy Orton to portray that he was in fact back as the Viper, and he could have got himself DQ'd, and that would have ended the match, and then we'd get the final match at Hell in a Cell. I didn't really think it called for Big Show. I didn't think it really needed Big Show in this match. I thought it really should have been between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. I thought they were kind of looking for a scapegoat, for this match to be ended where nobody wins, and they kind of picked Big Show. I just wasn't really happy how it ended. But it ended, and the match is still going on officially, so it'll be interesting to see how they go with this match. I'll be interested to see how they go with this on Monday Night Raw. Honestly, pretty disappointed with this pay-per-view overall. Honestly, the pay-per-view itself was very, very poor. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. It was pretty much a filler. We all knew it was a filler pay-per-view. I mean, the fact that they have the gap between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania is like, what, 80 days? They had to have a filler match this year, and this was the pay-per-view. It's going to be Hell in a Cell and Battleground that take the hit, and they're going to be two very, very poor pay-per-views because they've got so little time to build it, and this really showed off in this match. It was a very, very badly poor built match, except possibly the Rob Van Dam and the Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton match. The other matches were not built at all very well. I mean, the Cody Rhodes and Goldust match was built very, very well. The match was announced very, very late, so the fans couldn't have got behind it early on in the build. But for me, this whole pay-per-view was an absolute sham. I feel sorry for people who bought their $55 pay-per-view, especially to the fact that we lost a few minutes as well due to a power out. But honestly, very, very disappointed. A 5 out of 10. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the WWE Championship now. I didn't think it called for Big Show to come out like that. I thought it called for Randy Orton to get himself disqualified. We won the whole old guy that we love to hate, Randy Orton. I thought it called for Randy Orton to get himself disqualified or a count out. And we got pretty much Big Show ruining the match. I thought he really killed the crowd doing that. I don't know, it just completely killed the crowd. It didn't call for Big Show to do that, and I was really surprised when he actually did that. I was like, the show ended like that? It was a bit weird. But anyway, this show was absolutely disappointing for me. 5 out of 10. Dolph Ziggler versus Damien Sandow. I actually quite like that match. The world title match, very, very good match. The Real Americans versus Santino Marella and Great Khali, a very big filler match. The champion Curtis Axel versus R-Truth, filler match. AJ Lee versus Brie Bella, filler match. It really didn't mean anything. It was just to get the Total Diva on the show. Brie Bella. The tag team champions Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Probably my favourite match, actually. But it was a really, really good match. Bray Wyatt versus Kofi Kingston, filler match. CM Punk versus Ryback. Ryback should have won that match. Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton. I don't think it called for Big Show to come out like that. I really think Randy Orton should have taken it into his own hands and got disqualified. So for me, 5 out of 10. Very, very disappointed in this show. Thanks for watching. Take care, spat your hair. Like the video, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and goodbye.